Yo, what's the dealio, man? Listen, in this video, I got a straight banger for you, all right? In this video, I want to talk about news or charts, okay? I feel like there's this back and forth between should I pay attention to the news or should I pay attention to the charts, right? And the reason why um, I'm making this video is because a lot of people got faked out yesterday and today, right? Between yesterday and today, right? And so I want to make this video talking about that. Now, I do believe that you want to pay attention to the charts more than you pay attention to the news, right? And the reason why is because I remember when I was like beginning trading, I heard people say the news is just a distraction, right? The news is just a distraction. And I'd be like, okay, but the more I trade, the more I start to understand and see what's going on here, okay? Now, I'm not saying the news does not matter, right? Because the news can be a catalyst, right? But when you have a lot of things happening in the media, right? In the media, that's what you got to pay attention to, okay? Things that are important in the news, I get it, right? But when you got all this chitter chatter and you're just trying to pay attention to that, it's gonna confuse you, right? Look what happened over the past 48 hours. The U.S. got bombed, and then they said it got intercepted. Just all kind of buffoonery, right? But when you understand the charts, you can see through it all. Because let me tell you what the charts are doing. The charts are telling you where big investors, where big money is putting their money into, okay? Think about that. The charts are telling you, when you see them big red candles, that means that sellers are around, okay? When you see those big green candles, that means that people just bought into a stock, right? It's that simple. So I want you to understand what's really being said here, okay? When you see a stock and you see green candles, that means there's buyers stepping in, okay? When you see red candles, that means that people are selling off. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that's where the money is going and coming from. This is very rudimentary understanding. I don't care if you experience, if you're beginning, this needs to be said because there has to be some level of balance between news and the charts, okay? So before I get into it, right, go deeper into it, I'm going to give you guys these two things right here, okay? Now, I want you to understand this. Trading is extremely important to learn, but it is not a get rich quick. Repeat after me. Trading is not a get rich quick. Please repeat after me. Put it in the comments. Trading is not a get rich quick scheme. All right. What you're doing is you're learning a skill set. All right. You are learning a skill set. And this skill set is something that can pay you for the rest of your life when you understand the skill set. Okay. So first things first, man, if you don't have this book and you have not read this book, you need to go read it. Okay. Right. Trade Bible for Candlesticks. This is going to help you understand. This is going to help you understand candlesticks, the anatomy of candlesticks, and how to read them. Okay? You cannot sit up here and go into the market and trade and then go home, stay home, whatever, go to sleep, wake up in the market and do it all over again. You need to be putting in work. You need to be studying this stuff. Okay? Because you got to understand that you're going up. Trading is a zero-sum game. Right? It's a zero-sum game. You are going up against algorithms, okay? You're going against algorithms when you're trading. So if you want to make six figures in the market, you're going against algorithms. You need to understand what all this stuff means, okay? So make sure you go get this book, okay? Another book, I don't have it on me, but I'm going to put it right here, okay? Trading in the Zone. This is going to help you with your psychology. This is the hardest part of trading to understand and get over. It's psychology. Okay? Trading in the Zone and that book. Those are two books. If you have not read those two, If you ain't read a page, if you ain't read a chapter, one chapter can help you with your trading. Okay? So go read those books. Go get them off Amazon. Go spend the $20 and go study. Okay? This is why I say the more you study, the less you worry. I'm serious about this stuff. The more you study, the less you're going to be worried about what's going on in the market. All right? So now we got that out the way, right? So I want you guys to understand. Focus on the charts. I am not saying don't pay attention to the news, but the more you are worried about the news, the more you're going to be in limbo when you're trading. Ask me how I know, because I've been there. Focus on the charts, okay? So let's look at this. All right. We're going to go into the charts and we're going to look at a couple things. All right. All right. So we got, let's go right here to futures. Look at oil, okay? We're going to start with oil. All right, look at oil. Over the past 2 days, it's the daily time frame. Over the past 2 days, we was at 77.93, okay? We opened there. It sold off this day, gapped down, and it sold off some more, okay? So now we're at $65 in oil, okay? So if you see this and you don't hear anything about, the war is over, so to speak, you gotta honor what you see. You get what I'm saying? You gotta honor what you see, even if it doesn't make sense. You gotta honor what you see. So I was saying, if things continue to heat up in the Middle East, oil prices are gonna go up. They started dropping. What did that tell me? That told me that that's not that means that something is going on with this war. It can't be real. Therefore, this has to be true. You see what I'm saying? And then boom, the next day, because this candle right here is a bearish engulfing. All right, it engulfed this candle, means that we got more red to the downside coming in, and boom, look what happened. All right, now if we go to oil stocks, okay, if we go to oil stocks, let's go look at CVX, ExxonMobil. Look at, we can look at Oxy real quick. Look, big bearish engulfing right there. Gap down, boom, right? Tried to come up, came back down, right? So regardless of what the news is saying, investors were selling their positions of their oil stocks. That's why oil started to drop down, okay? Go to ExxonMobil. Okay, where is it at? ExxonMobil. Okay, look, same thing, bearish engulfing, right? Close right here, below this daily level. Boom. We have some more. So open up here, came up here, rejected, boom, came back down. All right. So this is what is going on. You see what I'm saying? Yes, you have manipulation and stuff, but if you're hearing conflicting views in the market, you need to pay attention to the charts and learn the charts, so that way you can know what's going on and you can know what decisions to make, right? Because this all happened with oil, right? All right, but let's look at what happened in the market. Look at this. Look at the SPY. The SPY was bullish, right? SPY was bullish. Yeah, we had a red day, boom, boom, right? Held right here. And then we rejected off that 21, then we went to the upside. Broke above here, and we closed above $600, right? We had closed at like 608 cents or something like that, right? Yesterday. So we lost $600, came below for a couple of days, and then we got back up when we closed above $600. $600 is a psychological level, right? So pay attention to that. See what I'm saying? Pay attention to that. And then if you look at all the indexes, QQQ, same thing. IWM, same thing. Bullish engulfing right here, right? So this had a bullish engulfing, XOM and oil stocks had a bearish engulfing. That lets me know that the market gonna be going up, because the war is I don't want to say over, but over. And then look what happens after the market. They have a ceasefire come out. So we realized that people was just getting played. It was just a money play. People was just getting played. This is why you got to pay attention to the charts. All right. Is the news important? Yes. But you got to really focus on learning how to read these charts and understanding what's going on in the actual market, y'all. All right. In the actual market. All right. Look what happened to Uber. Uber had a crazy day today. All right. These contracts was up 100, 200%. Right. But when you look at it, if you look at the daily, same thing, bullish engulfing, right? It was hovering right here, holding this level, and then it had a nice day yesterday, and then it gapped up, and then blast off. All right? That's what happened. Okay? It wasn't below the 50 EMA, right? It held that. I'm just trying to get you to see all these bullish engulfings, right? The bulls was coming in, and it was engulfing the bears. That's what's going on the charts. And the indexes is saying the same thing. The SPY, the QQQ, the IWM, small cap, large cap, it don't matter, right? The charts and learning technical analysis is what's really going to set you free. All right? I'm not saying you could trade news, but you still got to understand technical analysis. Just because some news come out don't mean you get into a call or a put and it's going to go your way. You got to understand your entry. You got to understand what's going on in the actual market. You got to understand the sectors. You got to understand all of this stuff. All right? So I want you to really, really, really focus on learning the charts. Dedicate time to the charts because the news going to do what the news do. But look, if the news is coming out saying X, Y, Z, but the charts is saying the opposite thing, I would follow the charts simply because the charts is letting you know where the money is flowing into and flowing out of. Hear what I'm saying, right? The charts, the red and the green candles let you know where money is going in and where money is going out. All right? So, pay attention to the charts, all right? Understand the news, but I've heard people say it's a distraction, and I fully understand what they mean. You will make more money focusing on technical analysis than you will trying to make trades based off the news. That's where they say buy the rumor and sell the news, okay? Think about that. A whole bunch of stuff come out, it's a rumor, it's a rumor, it's rumor. People start to buy the rumor. You get into play, you think it's going up, it goes down, and then you sell it off, all right? They get people every time, and then you be in the stock market frustrated. Being like, oh, stock market is a scam, it don't work. Oh, no, it does work. You don't work, okay? Your mind ain't working properly yet. So let's go, y'all, all right? Let's focus on the charts, lock in on technical analysis, and let's make it happen, all right? Like I always say, make sure you get up out of your head, go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live. And also remember, the more you study, the less you worry. All right? I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Peace.